If you're trying to choose between Manhasset and Port Washington, here's the reality up front. These towns are literally about 10 minutes apart on the same train line, and in a lot of cases cost roughly the same, and yet once you actually live there, the experience feels very different. Now, before we dive in, quick ask. If you're thinking about buying on the North Shore, subscribe to the channel. I break down these places the way nobody else does and the way that buyers actually live them, not the way listings describe them. So like the video if this is helping, and tell me in the comments, which town are you leaning towards and what's pulling you there? This video is especially for people that are relocating from New York City, from Queens, or anywhere else. Folks who don't just want to make a technically affordable choice, they want to make one that they won't regret 6 months later or even further out than that. So why this comparison feels so confusing? Well, on paper, Manhasset and Port Washington look almost interchangeable. Same LIRR branch, similar commute times, comparable price ranges, both desirable. So buyers naturally assume the decision is all about the house. But after years of watching people actually go through this, here's the truth. Most of the frustration isn't about houses, it's about fit. So these towns, they solve different lifestyle problems. And if you're not clear on which problem you're trying to solve, everything just kind of feels off. So the big difference that most people miss is this. Here's the clearest way to think about it. Manhasset it's a hub, and Port Washington has more of the feel of a town. That sounds subtle, but it shows up in how your days actually feel. And let me break that down. So what living in Manhasset actually feels like? Well, Manhasset is organized around efficiency and access. You're close to what you need without having to stay local all the time. And daily life here tends to look like quick errands, structured routines, clean transitions between work, home, and social life. The area around Plandome Road and the train station functions like a practical downtown. It's not trying to entertain you, it serves you. Then there's the pull of Americana, Manhasset along Northern Boulevard with all that destination retail. People go there on purpose. It's not something you stumble into while you're hanging out locally. So residents here don't default to staying in town just for fun. They choose where to go. And that appeals to, it appeals to buyers who want space, order, flexibility, a home that supports life without demanding it. Port Washington feels more self-contained. It's a peninsula, water almost everywhere, and you feel that geography in how the town moves. There's a real center of gravity around Main Street and the waterfront. People walk, they linger, they bump into each other. Weekends in Port Washington don't tend to spread out far. They stay in town, and that shows up in how people socialize, how they use the harbor, and how they actually go out nearby. A perfect example is Louis'. Louis' isn't just a nice restaurant, it's a place people use regularly. Not once a year, it's a part of the local rhythm, and that tells you something important. It's definitely a stay local type of place, and Port Washington buyers aren't just looking for a house, they want a place. This is where expectation quietly breaks. In Port Washington, a lot of the housing stocks reflects layers of time. There's older homes, additions, creative layouts, charm mixed with compromise. Buyers here tend to tolerate imperfection if the lifestyle pays off and it feels worth it. In Manhasset, expectations skew differently. It's more that you'll see a larger footprint, clearer layouts, and stronger separation of space, and less patience for almost finished homes. That's why two houses at the same price can feel emotionally opposite depending on which town you're in, and why buyers sometimes say, I don't know why, this just doesn't feel right. They're reacting to fit, not logic. Here's something that buyers rarely admit. Taxes, they don't stop purchases, they change tolerance. In Manhasset, taxes, the higher taxes are often rationalized as just part of a complete and functional package. In Port Washington, buyers are more sensitive to how taxes feel relative to the home and the lifestyle. Same numbers, very different emotional math. That's not affordability, that's expectation. Now let's talk a bit about the commute. So yes, both towns are on the Port Washington line of the Long Island Railroad, but the experience is different. In Port Washington, many commuters walk or bike to the station and arrive already in town mode. In Manhasset, more people drive, park, and then transition between modes. That changes how the commute feels, not just how long it takes, and over time, that matters. So what do people do for fun out here, right? This is one of the biggest separators. In Port Washington, social life is certainly more local, more dinners in town, strolls by the water, running into neighbors, weekends that stay close, and in Manhasset, social life is more distributed. You might travel more to other North Shore towns, you hang out on Northern Boulevard, you might go into Queens, go into Manhattan, and have planned outings instead of spontaneous ones. And look, neither is better, but they feel very different once you're living them. So some common regrets I'll usually hear, Manhasset regrets usually sound like, we didn't realize how much we really wanted a sense of town life. And Port Washington regrets usually sound like, we didn't realize how much compromise we'd make on the house itself. Both are avoidable if you're honest about what matters for you. So you're probably going to prefer Manhasset if you value efficiency, if you want space that functions cleanly, and like having options for where you go, being closer to the main roads. You're going to want your home to quietly support your life, and you'll probably prefer Port Washington if you feel like you want to be part of like that hometown feel. You enjoy walkability, a local routine, and you're okay with trading some house perfection for lifestyle. Also, if you want weekends to feel close to home. This isn't really about status, it's about alignment here. So most buyer frustration on the North Shore doesn't come from prices. It comes from picking a town that doesn't actually fit how you live. So if you're deciding between Manhasset or Port Washington and you want a personalized comparison based on your routines, commute, and priorities, send me a message. And if this helped clarify things for you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this, and I'll be breaking down more towns just like this. So tell me in the comments what town you're leaning towards and what you'd like to see me make more content of. Have a good one.